Hey vinyl community, um, thought it was about time for another video, but wanted to try to do something maybe a little bit different. Um, Talk just about one album exclusively, and maybe a couple other matters, topics. One I should say right away is I wanted to say thank you to there's some people out there specifically who have helped me and encouraged me and shouted me out on their channels and in their videos and in their live streams. And I wanted to say thank you to all those that did that. It means a lot to me, and not. It just means a lot that they would. Some of the people that I most admired in the vinyl community are the very ones who actually gave me a shout out, and that's amazing. And that they would think that of me, think enough of me to do that, is that makes all this worth doing in the first place. And I'm humbled by that, and thank you for that, everyone who did that. And but today I thought we would talk about a record that's just one of my favorite electronic music records, I guess you could say. But it's more than just an electronic music record. It's Tim Hecker's Virgins. This came out in 2013, and it's a beautiful record, and a very distinctive cover. Maybe we can talk about that a little bit too. In fact, I want to talk about that. This came out in 2013, was recorded, from what I understand, there were like 3 original sessions for it. It's a mix of acoustic sounds and electronic sounds. Probably the most simplistic way of describing the music would be to say that it's kind of a drone. But it's drone that expresses an awful lot of emotion and depth. It's amazing what can be conveyed in what sounds like on the surface of things a simplistic or simple, simplistic's the wrong word, but a simple format. It's not, it doesn't seem complicated on the surface of it, and yet I think that there's some of the most complex music that I've ever heard here. It's without a doubt, very avant-garde, and without a doubt, very abstract. Don't listen to this if you're looking for riffs or for something that just grabs you instantly. There's no top 40 hits on this, and there's a lot more texture and complexity going on here. And so to get into that a little bit, it's a mix of, there's piano. The main instrument that's used in it, from what I understand, it's called the virginal. It's a kind of harpsichord. And that sound is then taken and manipulated along with the sound of piano, and used in ways that we might not normally think of it. And the result is a record that I think is deeply, it is beautiful on a certain level. The sounds that are involved in it are without a doubt beautiful, but at the same time, there's a creeping sense of one word that comes to mind is paranoia, and but maybe even more than paranoia, there's a certain kind of darkness underneath it, a sense that something is very wrong, and it underlies this beautiful sound on the surface of things. Underneath all that is this creeping, pending sense of doom, paranoia, And as I say, there's not like wild fluctuations in music. It's pretty stable throughout the whole thing, and yet these shifts as the music flows are able to convey an amazing amount of actual emotion. One of the complaints that I hear sometimes people say who don't listen to a lot of electronic music is that it doesn't convey, for them, it doesn't convey the kind of emotions that that acoustic music conveys, like guitar, or what we traditionally think of, keyboards, guitar, stuff like that. One of the things about the virginal, this harpsichord type instrument, is it's considered more of a percussion instrument than it is like its brethren, the piano, would be. And because of that, there is a kind of rhythm, and not a beat, but a rhythm to the music that pushes it forward. So it's in constant, unlike, say, maybe a Brian Eno record, that there's a kind of stability to it. There is a kind of forward movement to it. In krautrock, they would have called it motorac, movement forward. This is a little different from that, but you get the same idea that there is this propulsion moving the music forward. And so it's kind of telling stories from one track to the next, and even within a track. Even though there's not a huge amount of changes happening within the music. If you're not used to electronic music, then I think it might take a little bit getting used to. But again, I like so many things that you read about that are abstract or so-called complex, there's nothing here that all of us couldn't enjoy. And just because I say there's a kind of creeping desperation underneath it all, doesn't mean it's not enjoyable on a certain level. Even if it is, I think, serious. And it is. That's maybe one of the things that's missing in our dialogue today, is that everything is a joke. Everything, there is no seriousness anymore. And every conversation has to be emphasized by laughter, and every conversation degenerates to silliness, rather than ever having a conversation of any impact or seriousness. I think that's a mistake on our part, a huge mistake, culturally. But anyway, and that, and because of that, we should probably mention there's no way you can hear this album and not think about the photograph on the front of it. It's a remake of the Abu Dhabi prison, where American soldiers tortured Iraqi prisoners, and it went on for a long time. We all remember those pictures that were just horrific, and they struck deeply into the narrative of why the United States was there in the first place in Iraq, which was, remember, if you recall, it was, we were there to liberate people from a supposed dictator, and that was supposedly torturing his own citizens, and in turn, this was what we brought to that country. And can you imagine the impact that these had on Iraqis who saw them, and the families that had their, and this picture is clean compared to some of the other ones that were shown. It's worth mentioning that there were never any convictions, and no one ever went to jail, and no one was ever punished for anything that happened there. And that's worth mentioning too, that there's a lot happening in the world today, and seriousness is something that I think we lack, and we're far removed from the happenings around the world, whether they be in in Europe, or whether they be in Asia, or whether they be in Africa. And in North America here, we tend to be a little far removed from things and not feel the impact of what's happening. And yet there's unavoidable situations going around the world, and I would say that now is the time to speak up. Now is the time to be radical, and we need a little bit more of that. Things are happening that are going to become unavoidable, and now is the time to speak up and say this is something that we will not tolerate. And however you feel about issues, I would encourage everyone to speak up and let your voices be heard in any way that you think is the appropriate way to do it. And right along those lines about being radical, this is a radical record, and its impulses and its statement is to get us to think, and to get us to think, I think, with a seriousness, and it's a great way to do that. It's also a sonic adventure, and don't let any of the side issues, the politics of it, discourage you. However you feel about political matters, on an artistic level, this is a triumph and an amazing piece of music that I think will be remembered a long time into the future. But it's unavoidable when you think about that picture on the front, that we can't think about those other things. I didn't want to dilute this by pulling a few other records into it, and thought I would just let it stand on its own. It's really one of my favorite records, and I wouldn't say that I listen to it every week, but it's one that when I'm ready for its impact, or when I want to share a piece of music with a friend, or a girlfriend, or whoever, that I pull it out and share something I think more intimate and more real than just sharing a pop song. So thanks for listening, and remember, time to be radical. Thank you.